Hi guys, right? And hi Instagram people. What framework or tag should I dive into?
So it's not so much about, like Audrey said, it's not so much about the framework or what technologies to use. It's more about getting your fundamentals down. And you can start with any language, but the most important part of it is that you understand your core concepts, because then that makes you adaptable, and it means that you'll be able to, use what you have learned and, transform it into something for your next job, or whatever other language you're going to be using. So again, it's not really about what's the best framework, what's the best language to learn. It's more about the core concepts that you will learn in any language, and how you can use that to adapt to another language later on if you end up moving or changing.
So I think one of the biggest risks that I've seen some people is where they focus so much. It's actually really interesting to see how people learn coding. So I've seen some people who want to make sure that their fundamentals are strong, right? I learn how to code first, do it the raw way, then dive into frameworks, because frameworks are, to us, it's kind of like shortcuts, right? To make your life easier, right? Dive into frameworks, and then so on and so forth. I've also met people who don't really want to care much about the fundamentals. They just dive straight into the frameworks. The problem with diving into frameworks is that, yes, you treat it like, a step by step. Step one, I will do this. Step two, I will do this. There are templates, there are frameworks. I can just follow them. But remember, things change very fast. First thing first, frameworks can lose popularity. Today, something might be very popular now. Give it another few more years, people would just go like, oh, that was so yesterday, and now we have a new thing that's coming up, and let's go towards that. And what happens when that happens, and you call yourself, oh, I'm this X framework developer, and then it just falls in popularity, then what? Are you obsolete now? So I think that is one thing you should think about. And people fall into that trap, and it's really scary, the fact that when I actually go on the internet and read up on people ask these questions because they wanted to learn to code. And there are so many people who give them, I don't want to call it false information, but to me it's not really ethical, but it's not really good to just tell people, oh, you just need to learn this framework and you're set for life. What does that mean, right? If things change, what will happen next?
Correct.
So if your fundamentals are not strong, you can't even customize the things that you want to learn. And your framework decided to say, decided for whatever reason, lose popularity, you are not going to be able to secure your own you would not be able to evolve with the tech world as well. So I think one really key thing is think about building your fundamentals really strong. So for us, I think at Next Academy, we also always remind our students, which is why we always start off with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Everything we make sure that the students are able to actually do it the raw way. That's the key thing. And then only introduce the shortcut way. Right? If you just jump straight to the shortcut way, you would not be able to do, and really you wouldn't be able to do much beyond that. The same thing goes with so you also learn JavaScript first, then only you learn React.js. Then you also learn Python first, then only you learn Flask. So Flask is a framework. So make sure that you actually have your fundamentals before you move on to the framework. And then with the framework as well, you also need to understand the flow, the way it actually works. So when you understand how things work, right, how different concepts work, then in the future, it's easy for you to actually go to new technology, new languages, new frameworks, because, hey, you realize that, the concepts are quite similar. So I think those are very crucial things for you to think about, Joshua. Yeah. Do you have anything else?
I noticed online as well that one of the top questions is, what language should I learn? And they'll go through like the year. What's the best language to learn for 2019? What's the best language to learn for 2020? And it's not the wrong question per se, but it's maybe not the ultimate focus that you should have. You should be focusing more on, okay, if I pick up this language, what are the important things to learn from it, and what are the key concepts that are translatable to any language that you learn, because you do have the same, You know,
Yeah.
you have the same like functions, for example, or like loops, so on and so forth, that will always be translatable to any other language. It's just maybe written in a different way. But as long as you know how to use them, and as long as when you change languages, you know how to write them, it's basically
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. Like it's really interesting to see there is like the war of languages, coding languages, and someone's going to ask which language is the best language to learn, and then all the people who reply, and it's crazy because the way they stab each other, the way they try to put their best language. This language is the best. Then the other guy go like, why do you need to learn that language? That language is so yesterday. This other language is the best. And it's crazy because when I look at that, I'm like, wow, if I'm a beginner and I look at all these things, and I don't know where to start.
You just get scared. You're like, oh, there's so many choices, and then you get paralyzed, and oh no, I don't know which step or which direction to take.
So which is why for us, I think for us, I actually will be very frank with people when they ask me that. I just say it really depends on what you want to do, right? But one key thing is that learning to code is not really the language, right? It is learning to communicate with the computer. So it's like a kid, right? If there is English, there is BM, and there is Chinese, but we could learn all the individual characters and words, but if we cannot string them together, we cannot even communicate. So I think one key thing, which is why we always, for us, using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or Python, it's just a medium, right? It's just a medium for us to teach you the key core concepts to communicate with the computer to do the things you want to do. But in the future, you may not be using these languages. Maybe you want to use some, I don't know, C#, Java, Elixir. There are so many languages out there. You might want to use those languages, and it's totally okay. But the key thing, you will realize that, oh, I already know how to communicate with the computer. The only difference is the language. Yeah. So you get to that point, But at the start, it's okay to just stick with one language, but you need to actually walk to the end of the journey with the one language first before you switch to a different language.
Know as much as you can, and study as much as you can about it.